Discover the latest updates in the realms of cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond. Stay informed with NewsSourceCrawler's edition for May 16, 2025, which provides a comprehensive daily news digest.
In the United Kingdom, foreign countries are restricted to owning no more than 15% of newspapers, a rule that has come under scrutiny following the Telegraph controversy. The English Football League has officially approved the acquisition of Reading by a former Wickham owner, marking the completion of a contentious sale by a well-known Chinese businessman of what was once an English Premier League team. Reddit's founder, Ahanian, has purchased a share in Chelsea's women's team. Argentina has implemented stricter entry rules for foreigners, following President Milei's directive for an immigration crackdown aimed at revitalizing the country. A Pakistani official reported that 1.3 million Afghans have been returned to their homeland since November 2023. XR passport holders now enjoy visa-free entry to Qatar and the UAE, and the visa-free duration for their visits to Oman has been extended.
Hapag-Lloyd's CEO has observed a significant increase in volume over the past few days, attributing this boost to the recent US-China trade truce. The CEO noted that container bookings from China to the US have surged by nearly 300% following the truce. Jaguar Land Rover has expressed that it cannot rule out the possibility of manufacturing vehicles in the United States to avoid the tariffs imposed by President Trump. Congress has been informed that the reduction in tariffs is still too expensive for soybeans and other sectors within the U.S.
The FBI has issued a warning about fraudulent text messages and deepfake phone calls that are being used to impersonate high-ranking U.S. government officials. Telegram has taken action by banning black markets valued at $35 billion, which were being utilized for the sale of stolen data and the laundering of cryptocurrency. Meta is currently facing a significant surge in scams, as criminals are increasingly targeting Instagram and Facebook.
China has declared the establishment of new military academies as part of its ongoing efforts to modernize the People's Liberation Army. The United States is projected to see a significant increase in the cost of its nuclear weapons, with estimates suggesting a rise of 25% to reach nearly $1 trillion by the year 2034, according to a report from the Budget Office. In Europe, Germany's Friedrich Merz has made a commitment to constructing the continent's most formidable military force.
Archer plans to offer an electric air taxi service during the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The head of Uber's Robotaxi division indicates that while human drivers will still be necessary, their roles will undergo significant changes. China has introduced the globe's largest collection of driverless mining trucks, which are equipped with technology developed by Huawei.
YouTube has introduced a new Gemini AI feature designed to deliver ads at the peak of viewer engagement. Anthropic's legal representative had to issue an apology after their AI model, Claude, mistakenly generated a false legal citation. Furthermore, the Wall Street Journal has reported that Meta is postponing the launch of its main AI model.
Nissan is willing to collaborate with China's Dongfeng by sharing its global manufacturing facilities, according to the company's CEO. Uber has launched a new feature called Route Share, which resembles a bus service aimed at commuters. Reuters reports that Elon Musk reclaimed leased vehicles with the intention of repurposing them as robot access for Tesla. However, instead of using them for this purpose, Tesla opted to sell the cars.
Qatar Airways has entered into an agreement to purchase 160 Boeing aircraft during President Trump's visit, marking Boeing's largest ever order as Qatar Airways for long-range jets. Japan is concerned about the potential effects of a US-UK trade agreement on upcoming tariff negotiations, while also preparing to evaluate the US-China trade deal in anticipation of the next round of tariff discussions. Shine has reduced its prices in an effort to attract US customers back following a reduction in tariffs.
China has increased its visa-free travel policy to include 5 Latin American countries, following a summit with the regional bloc. In a separate development, Hungary has declared that Beijing is a red line, asserting that it will not sever ties with China, even if pressured by Trump. Xi Jinping's recent meeting with Myanmar's junta leader in Moscow indicates China's support for the regime. Just 5 days ago, Xi met with Myanmar's junta chief and committed to assisting in the reconstruction efforts after an earthquake.
A video showing a racist attack on a Korean streamer in France has gone viral, causing widespread anger. Mexican influencer Valeria Marquez was tragically killed during a TikTok livestream. Officials with Mexican heritage have accused MrBeast of fabricating elements in his video about Maya temples, leading to increased scrutiny of his Chichen Itza video by both the Mexican public and officials.
A court in China has handed down a 12-year prison sentence to a Japanese national for engaging in espionage activities. In Belgium, an investigation is underway into NATO personnel regarding potential irregularities in a defense contract. Reuters has reported the discovery of unauthorized communication devices within Chinese solar power inverters.
The United States has clarified that Trump's recent remark about unification was specifically related to trade between the US and China. This statement has caused concern in Taiwan, prompting the US State Department to offer reassurance. There have been discussions about whether South Korean and Japanese military forces can engage in joint training exercises. However, the South Korean Marine Corps has denied reports of a planned joint drill with the Japanese Army in June, despite earlier announcements from the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force about conducting their first-ever joint exercise with the South Korean Marine Corps. China is extending billions of dollars to Latin America and the Caribbean in an effort to counter U.S. influence, aiming for a golden decade in relations with the region.
The CDC has announced a significant reduction in drug overdose deaths in the United States, with a nearly 24% decrease over the 12-month period concluding in September 2024. In the U.S., lawmakers Blackburn, Blumenthal, Thune, and Schumer have reintroduced the Kids Online Safety Act, which has been described as having the potential to transform the Internet. The Wall Street Journal reports that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services will cease recommending routine COVID-19 vaccinations for children and pregnant women.
South Korea's entertainment sector is encountering actor risk due to celebrity controversies and expensive project delays. YouTube's CEO has stated that the revenue generated from its TikTok-like Shorts videos has reached the same level as its main YouTube platform in both the United States and other nations. Sony is intensifying its focus on anime, with Crunchyroll surpassing 17 million subscribers and preparing a series based on Ghost of Tsushima.
Japan is planning to completely cover the expenses associated with childbirth, potentially starting in April 2026. Lawmakers in California are preparing for a budget deficit exceeding $10 billion, even without any reductions in federal funding. In Canada, Enbridge has sold a $511 million stake in the West Coast Pipeline to an Indigenous alliance.
Waymo has initiated a recall affecting more than 1,200 vehicles following incidents involving collisions with road barriers. Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer XPeng has introduced the P7, a model equipped with an AI chip, aiming to compete with the Tesla Model 3 and the Xiaomi SU7. In the United States, Toyota has unveiled the 2026 CHR, a battery electric vehicle that combines style with power.
Coinbase has reported that hackers managed to bribe some of its employees to steal customer data and are now demanding a ransom of $20 million. In response, Coinbase has decided to offer a $20 million bounty to anyone who can help identify and capture the data thieves responsible for attempting to extort the exchange. This decision comes after Coinbase rejected the ransom demand and acknowledged that the insider leak affected approximately 1% of its users. Coinbase is facing a financial burden of $400 million due to an insider phishing attack. The New York Times has also reported that the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is investigating whether Coinbase may have misrepresented its user numbers. In a separate incident, Valve has denied that data from 89 million Steam accounts was leaked, despite concerns among gamers. This follows reports of a hacker advertising an alleged database containing 2FA codes for 89 million Steam accounts, although the source of this leak remains unknown. Twilio has also denied any breach in connection with the alleged leak of Steam 2FA codes. Furthermore, Google has warned that hackers who previously targeted UK retailers are now shifting their focus to American stores.
A study reveals that horses were migrating between Asia and North America approximately 50,000 years ago. Invent Wood is preparing to begin large-scale production of wood that surpasses steel in strength. A new theory suggests that dark matter came into existence when rapidly moving particles decelerated and increased in mass.
Rihanna is set to release her first new song in 3 years as part of the Smurfs soundtrack. Nicolas Cage has been cast to portray John Madden in an upcoming film about Madden NFL. Furthermore, Nicolas Cage has confirmed that he is currently in discussions for a live-action Spider-Man noir series, although he clarified that nothing has been finalized yet.
RFK Jr. advises against seeking medical guidance from him, justifies reductions in the Health and Human Services budget during a House hearing, and mentions he would likely vaccinate his children against measles in the present day. South Africa reports that Trump's reduction in aid has resulted in the loss of over 8,000 health workers from its HIV program. 3 in the U.S., the Environmental Protection Agency has declared a rollback of certain Biden-era restrictions on what are known as forever chemicals found in drinking water. A study reveals that toxic pollution from wildfires enters the homes of 1 billion people annually. Another study indicates that working extremely long hours can alter the structure of your brain. Research suggests that your fingers consistently prune in the same manner each time.
Thomas & Friends has unveiled a previously unseen pilot from 1983, showcasing Ringo Starr as the iconic tank engine, as it celebrates its 80th anniversary. A copy of the Magna Carta held by Harvard has been discovered to be an original. Variety discusses how Hollywood, facing financial difficulties, might seek investment from Qatar, which is actively engaging at the Cannes Film Festival.
NASA's rover has captured the first aurora on Mars that can be seen by humans. China is distributing valuable moon samples to international partners, though NASA is excluded from this collaboration. A powerful solar flare has erupted from the sun, leading to extensive radio blackouts.
TikTok introduces new accessibility features, such as AI-created alternative text. OpenAI makes GPT 4.1 available to all ChatGPT users who pay. Microsoft discontinues access to Bing search data as it redirects its attention towards chatbots.
The European Union has expressed concerns that TikTok may be violating the Digital Services Act regulations concerning advertising practices. Elon Musk's AI creation, Grok, is reportedly sending unsolicited messages to users on the platform X, focusing on race relations in South Africa. The company behind Grok, XAI, attributes this behavior to an unauthorized alteration in Grok's programming. Furthermore, a recent EU decision has declared that the tracking-based advertising methods employed by major companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and X across Europe lack any legal foundation.
The European Union Commission has been deemed incorrect in its decision to restrict access to Ursula von der Leyen's confidential documents related to the COVID-19 vaccine deal. In the case known as Pfizergate, an EU court has mandated the release of these texts. A former top executive in the Chinese chip industry has received a suspended death sentence following a corruption conviction. The World Economic Forum is considering Christine Lagarde as a potential successor to its founder, who recently left the position unexpectedly.
Cuba has reported that a defect in its cellular network is impacting certain voice and data services. A recent investigation has revealed that the crew of the Bayesian yacht was not informed about wind speeds exceeding 73 miles per hour, which could have led to the yacht's capsizing. This incident may be linked to a potential design flaw. In a remarkable achievement, NASA has successfully reactivated the thrusters of the Voyager 1 interstellar spacecraft after they had been deemed non-functional for 2 decades.
Bukele attributes the protest outside his residence to NGOs and is advocating for a foreign agents law to stifle their activities. El País has remarked that El Salvador has transformed into the right-wing equivalent of Cuba. Britain is in discussions with certain countries to establish migrant return hubs. Elon Musk had pledged to offer $100 to some voters in Pennsylvania before the 2024 election, but a lawsuit claims he has not fulfilled this promise to everyone. Israeli military actions in Gaza have resulted in the deaths of 84 individuals while discussions for a ceasefire are ongoing. Ben Cohen, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, was detained during a Senate hearing where he was protesting against the use of U.S. bombs in the killing of children in Gaza. Former President Donald Trump has indicated that the United States is nearing a potential agreement with Iran, mentioning that Tehran has somewhat consented to the terms and is prepared to make concessions regarding its nuclear capabilities. Trump has also sought assistance from Qatar in facilitating this agreement. In India, security forces have reported that several leading Maoist figures have been either killed or wounded during what they refer to as Operation Black Forest. In Indonesia, a military operation resulted in the deaths of 18 individuals who were suspected of being armed separatists. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, have announced that they successfully targeted and killed a Hezbollah commander in a previous drone strike conducted in southern Lebanon. SoundCloud has revised its terms of service after facing criticism over its AI policy. According to Axios, Google leads in the number of AI patent applications filed. Noib has issued a cease and desist letter to Meta concerning its AI training practices, with a European class action lawsuit potentially following. The claim is that if each user suffered non-material damages of just €500, the total compensation could reach approximately €200 billion, considering Meta's estimated 400 million monthly active users in Europe.
CarPlay Ultra, representing the latest advancement in CarPlay technology, is set to start its rollout, initially with Aston Martin cars. In 2026, Netflix plans to introduce generative AI advertisements that will appear in the middle of streaming content. CoreWeave, supported by NVIDIA, intends to invest up to $23 billion this year to capitalize on the growing demand for AI.
The Los Angeles City Council has given its approval to a proposal that would set a minimum wage of $30 for hotel workers, even though the tourism industry has raised concerns about the potential negative impacts. Industrial production has seen an increase of 2.6% in the euro area and a rise of 1.9% across the European Union. Verizon has decided to discontinue its diversity initiatives following pressure from the Federal Communications Commission. Mother Jones has expressed its views on this development, stating, "America, say goodbye to a generation of scientists, researchers, and policy experts."
Walmart's chief financial officer has indicated that price increases due to tariffs might begin later this month, while the company has surpassed its earnings expectations. China's The Global Times has suggested that the 90-day tariff truce between China and the United States should be prolonged. According to Barclays, the likelihood of a U.S. recession has diminished following the trade truce.
It has been noted that Putin and Trump are bypassing Zelensky by not attending the peace talks in Turkey, as Putin is not included on the Kremlin's list of officials participating in the Ukraine peace discussions in Turkey. Instead, Putin will miss the summit with Ukraine and dispatch low-level negotiators. Finland is considering increasing the age limit for reservists to 65. Furthermore, the IISS reports that defending Europe without the United States would incur costs and consequences, estimated to be around $1 trillion.
Starbucks is reportedly initiating steps to overhaul its extensive operations in China. Dick's Sporting Goods has announced plans to acquire the financially troubled Foot Locker for a sum of $2.4 billion. Burberry is set to reduce its workforce by 1,700 employees, following a significant financial loss in the millions of pounds.
In March, the number of smartphones shipped in the United States increased by 30%, largely because of worries about tariffs, according to a report. iPhone shipments in China plummeted by 50% as local brands gained significant market share. President Trump has urged Apple to cease iPhone production in India and instead focus on manufacturing in the United States, as part of the ongoing tariff conflict.
China is increasing its oversight of AI data centers, according to the information. Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, has commended Saudi engineers while criticizing Europe for allegedly abandoning its efforts in AI. During his visit to the UAE, Trump announced $200 billion in agreements, including an AI deal that will lead to the construction of the largest AI campus outside the United States, effectively sidestepping previous concerns about China.
The daughter of a prominent cryptocurrency leader narrowly avoided being kidnapped in Paris, marking the latest incident in a string of attacks. An al-Qaeda-linked group claims responsibility for an attack in Burkina Faso, resulting in the deaths of 200 soldiers. The United States has severed defense relations with Cuba due to its alleged non-cooperation and for providing refuge to terror fugitives.
Finland is set to make Holocaust denial a criminal offense. The Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, has released a report highlighting the experiences of journalists in Gaza who have faced intimidation, threats, and physical assaults from Hamas. NASA scientists have made the surprising discovery of an abandoned U.S. nuclear base located in Greenland. A gene-editing therapy developed in a mere 6 months successfully aids a baby suffering from a life-threatening condition. Indonesia has initiated a 2-year clinical trial for a tuberculosis vaccine supported by Bill Gates. In the U.S., Montana has taken the lead in establishing an experimental treatment center through new legislation that broadens the right to try.
Tim Sweeney has mentioned that Apple has not yet made a decision on whether to accept or decline the second Fortnite submission to the App Store. Apple has issued warnings to applications in the European Union that utilize external purchasing methods. Perplexity has collaborated with PayPal to enable in-chat shopping, intensifying the competition in the AI sector.
Meta is unveiling fresh advancements and discoveries that enhance the prediction of molecular properties, improve language processing, and contribute to neuroscience research. Google DeepMind has introduced AlphaVolve, a coding agent driven by Gemini technology, aimed at creating sophisticated algorithms. China has initiated the launch of satellites as part of its ambitious project to construct the first supercomputer in space.
Billionaires are experiencing a decline in wealth while King Charles III ascends in the latest Sunday Times rich list. The Economist offers commentary, stating that cryptocurrency has evolved into the ultimate speculative asset. The United States is preparing to reduce the banking regulations that were established following the 2008 financial crisis.
YouTube has launched an engaging product feed designed for shoppable television advertisements. The creators on Roblox will now have the opportunity to sell merchandise directly within the game. Furthermore, TikTok plans to display guided meditation sessions to teenagers after 10 p.m.
Netflix's ad-supported tier has reached a milestone of 94 million monthly active users, with users in the United States spending an average of 41 hours each month engaging with the platform. The delay of Grand Theft Auto 6 has reportedly impacted all game companies, as Take-Two's CEO explained that the delay was necessary for Rockstar to achieve its creative vision without any constraints. Additionally, YouTube has introduced a weekly top podcast list, aiming to compete with Spotify and Apple.
The Wall Street Journal has reported that United Health Group is currently facing a criminal investigation due to potential Medicare fraud. The White House has decided to abandon its previous plan to prevent data brokers from selling sensitive information about American citizens. Furthermore, the White House has criticized former FBI Director James Comey's recent social media post, which included the phrase 8647, as an attempt to incite violence against the president.
U.S. Republicans are experiencing internal conflicts regarding Trump's tax cut proposal, which is described as a beautiful document that is 1,116 pages long. There are reports that a rebellion among GOP members could potentially disrupt Trump's big, beautiful bill, before it reaches a crucial committee stage. The New York Times mentions that a small company with connections to China has announced a significant acquisition of Trump's cryptocurrency. In other news, President Donald J. Trump has achieved a historic economic agreement worth $1.2 trillion in Qatar, where Qatar Airways has placed an order for 160 Boeing twin-aisle jets during Trump's visit.
According to Reuters, it is anticipated that Microsoft's decision to bundle its Office and Teams products will help prevent a potential antitrust fine from the European Union, as indicated by informed sources. As the United States struggles with its vulnerability tracking efforts, the European Union is stepping in by establishing its own database to monitor security bugs. In the United States, the steel manufacturer Nucor has temporarily stopped some of its production operations following a cybersecurity incident. An analysis by Post reveals that Indian military actions in Pakistan resulted in damage to 6 airfields. Donald Trump has proposed that the United States should seize control of Gaza and establish it as a freedom zone. Additionally, Germany has thwarted a suspected Russian scheme to send incendiary devices through the mail.